You were talking about your father and how he was serving with your grandfather, both in the same detail in the military in the war against Spain.
Under the orders of Maximo Gomez, which is a beloved patriot.
And Maximo Gomez is like the equivalent of George Washington, no?
Sort of, yes.
Yeah.
And there was an incident that I could recall where Maximo Gomez had said that when anyone went to fight, when the Spanish were close, then everybody had to get up on the horses and fight against them. But in such a crisis, some of his men would take any horse. And Maximo Gomez said, the next time we had a crisis like this, anyone who is found without his horse, with somebody else's horse, is going to be executed. He had an orderly who brought him a horse, and he mounted and fought, and when everything was over, he was found out to be on a wrong horse. So he was going to be executed. And my father saw his own father to be executed. He was horrified. My grandfather had a hernia, and he walked very slowly and painfully. So they had to go from one camp to another one. And my father was in his horse, and he saw his father walking slowly and painfully toward his death. He was horrified. But he was pardoned because it was his orderly who brought him his horse, not he himself. My father came to Camagüey, where he was very well known and adored. He went into politics, and he was a very well known politician and very honest also. My mother belonged to the poor side of the family. She was first cousins with my father.
And her name was?
Her name was Josefina Agüero y Gomez. My father was 16 years older. And he used to take her into Camagüey society, to the best balls and to the best places, and introduced her and all that, because she was very young. Finally, she fell in love with her and married. They got married. And they went to Havana to live, because he had, as a politician, he had a position. He was later representative in the Congress.
So he was elected as a representative?
He was elected.
He
was very popular for representing Camagüey. And he was elected governor of Camagüey in other elections. And he was very discontent with Menocal, who is the president at that time. There was a lot of injustices going on. And he joined the forces of the Chambelona to bring down the government. And he was caught and put in prison. He was 13 months a political prisoner. But at those times there was respect for political prisoners. At age 8, my mother took us to the United States, to Philadelphia. And I was put in Mary and Mercy Academy, where it was called
Misericordia.
Madre Misericordia Academy. It was a good school for girls in Marion, Pennsylvania.
It's still there.
Yes. And a few months later, she put Conchita there. She was 6 and I was 8. As boarder. And my 2 brothers in Winona Military Academy in New Jersey.
Wow.
And she moved in with Gloria and her nurse at 48, 42 Walnut Street. I can remember that.
In West Philadelphia.
Yes, which now is very different, but it was a very nice neighborhood, quiet and pleasant.
Uh-huh.
She moved to an apartment there. She brought a nurse from Cuba. Very nice girl. Her name was Concha. Very funny. Well, we were children.
Yes.
We were children. When I arrived to Madre Misericordia, there were two girls which were older. They were about 14 or 15, and they spoke Spanish. One was from Panama, and the other one was from, I think, from Mexico. One of the girls' name was Abigail Alfaro, and the other one was Isela Gomez. I can remember things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my first night there was a nightmare. I was screaming, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy," and those two girls came and stayed with me for a while,
mm-hmm.
until I fell asleep. And a few months later, Conchita came, and I had to make my bed every morning and make her bed also.
Wow.
She was too little, so that's how I learned English. When I was there as a boarder, and I had to speak, I had to communicate. So I remember the names of some girls, Eleanor Lane and her sister Marie Lane. And the first time I saw snow, I couldn't believe it. I was delighted.
Mm-hmm.
I put a glass of water outside the windows there. And next day it was broken, of course.
Frozen, yeah.
And I remember Concha, Gloria's nurse. She came in one day. When we were there at home in the apartment. She came in one day with a shirt that she had hung up. She had washed the shirt.
And it was frozen solid.
And she hung it up to dry,
uh-huh.
and she brought it in. It was like this.
Oh, how
she
funny.
was so funny.
Yes.
I can remember that.
Now, Tiaglu had a nurse because she wasn't well, or because she was so
Gloria
young?
was a baby. She was 2 years of age. She left the house without being noticed, and a car ran over her. She had 2 fractures. And my mother, when she left, he had a hint that something was wrong. And she said, "Katie, some American cousins that live here in Philadelphia, I must go home. But Fefa, we just left. I have to go home. Something's going on." So she went at the moment when they were putting Gloria in a car, taking her to the hospital.
Now, this happened in Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia.
Oh my gosh.
It was in Market Street.
Oh my gosh.
And one of the employees of the stores there in Market Street said, "This is her mother, this is the mother, wait, wait." So they stopped the car, and my mother could go with Gloria. And Gloria, the only thing she knew was, "Thank you." And all the time she was complaining, "Thank you, doctor, thank you, thank you."
Oh, poor thing. And then she became a ballet dancer. So,
yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Now, you
my father stayed in Cuba because he had to attend. He was a congressman. As a matter of fact, my father was 3 times elected governor of Camagüey, but somehow, for one thing or the other, he never acted as a governor because the situation in Cuba was very troublesome. The third time was with the President Machado, when we were he had all his children, 5 children of us, and we moved to Camagüey because he had to live in Camagüey, being the governor of the place. We were very little time there because Machado's regime fell. There was a revolution in Cuba, and we moved back to Havana. So He acted as a governor very little time. By that time, my father had lost his house in Havana because it was hipotecada. Mortgage.
Mortgage, yes.
He couldn't pay the mortgage, which was very little, because he was without any earnings. And he had spent all his earnings in his campaign,
yes,
political campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So he was left with a mortgage. He tried to sell the house. Nobody would sell the house. It was 1933 at that time. During the Depression, my mother used to have poor people coming in the house asking for loans. She would give them what she had. Chicken that we have in the very back part of the house. We had a big patio in the back, cemented patio, and there was, we had chicken. We remained in Havana in a very poor apartment, and we went, the high school, the public high school was closed, and we had to go to a private school, Dr. Valdor, which was a very good academy, and he gave a special prize of us. He was a very, very Catholic, very good person. And at the Billboard Club, we were later on. I took writing lessons.
And how old were you?
Oh. My teacher called me veteran because I was older than the other ones.
Oh, I see.
I was in my 20s then.
Uh-huh.
And we jumped. I didn't jump too much. This was as high as I could jump.
How high?
Oh, 3 feet.
Okay.
I was not one of the best ones. I had a piano teacher, Conchita Blanco, and I started learning guitar. I didn't like the guitar. Since I was in my 20s and I was not married, I took singing lessons. I loved to sing. And my sister Conchita had a similar voice, and we had duos. She also had singing lessons. And Lalita Salazar at that time, I met her. I took ballet lessons, but I was never very good. You know, you need to be a ballerina, you have to learn early. And I had the body and the looks, and Alberto Alonso liked me, and he tried to, but I had no energy. No.
Pero Tiaglu was more...
Oh, Tiaglu was devoted to it. Until one day she said, I'm not going to be a ballerina. I might as well forget about it.
Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
we lived in a house that we bought, that my father bought after my mother died. It was close to the Pro Arte Musical, to the Menopause, to that place that I said, Carmelo, and it was very easy for us. It was a beautiful house. Yes, I went to college there. I met Juan Ignacio, your father. Juan Ignacio was a very good student. I was not good. But I struggled, and I passed, and I became an architect. In architecture, there were fine people. Mario de los Reyes, and Eugenio Albarrán, and Emilio del Junco, and all this little group of nice people from very nice, well-known families.
yes.
Once I said, I haven't seen Juan Ignacio in a few days. What's going on? They said, his mother is very ill. He was very, very loving with his mother. So I went with Conchita to see Juan Ignacio. And Julia, his mother, liked me. As a matter of fact, once we were fighting, arguing. He said, well, it was because of her that I married you. It hurt so much that I still remember it. We were at Alicia Puyal's home. Alicia Puyal was an architect, and her sister was an architect also. She was older than Alicia. She had designed the 3 houses. Her brother, the one in the corner of Quinta Avenida in Miramar, beautiful house, and hers there. So they were all together, the family, and they had a huge patio. And there was a party going on in Alicia Puyal's home, and they were serving refreshment, eclairs. There was one eclair, chocolate. Oh, somebody said, I want this. No, this is for Josefina. I said, what's going on here? So that's when he attracted me. And so he started inviting me and inviting me and inviting me. Until one day I said, well, Ignacio, I'm not going to go out with you anymore because nobody is asking me to go out. There's no, I am supposed to be your fiancé, and I am not. And he said, what if it were? What if you were? And that's how we got engaged. But I had to take it from him. And we, since my mother had died, I had always with a married couple of ours, because I married at 28. So all my friends were married.